Hi guys, it's Phil
And Liam
from Die Hard on a Blank, and we're excited to talk to you about a brand new podcast we're launching called 48 Hours of Buddy Movies.
That's right, folks. 48-hour-long
approximately
episodes exploring 48 different buddy movies, beginning with the original classic that started it all, Walter Hill's 1982 masterpiece, 48 Hours, starring Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy.
And just like Die Hard on a Blank, our new show will explore the influence of 48 Hours on the action genre, one buddy movie at a time.
We'll be covering iconic franchises such as the Beverly Hills Cop movies, the Stakeout movies, the Bad Boys movies, classics of the genre like Running Scared,
Hyams Hive Rise Up,
Midnight Run, Red Heat, Tango and Cash, The Hard Way,
plus tough thrillers such as To Live and Die in LA, Black Rain, Point Break, Training Day, and The Way of the Gun.
As well as a few wild cards that you might not expect, such as RoboCop, Alien Nation, and, of course, Phil's favorite,
Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
So if you're a fan of two buddies talking buddy movies,
then 48 Hours of Buddy Movies is for you.
Visit patreon.com/48 Hours of Buddy Movies to subscribe for the price of 1 cup of coffee a month.
See you in the squad car.
Or walking to the squad car, mildly irritated that we've been paired off.
Wherever. That's patreon.com/48 Hours of Buddy Movies to subscribe. Welcome to Die Hard on a Blank, the podcast where we explore the influence of Die Hard on action cinema, one action movie at a time. I'm Philip Cawthorne, and with me as always is Liam Billingham, and today's film is Collateral.
It's Die Hard in a taxi. I have been reviewing some tape of us doing the show, listening to the beginnings, and this It's Die Hard has really evolved.
Yeah.
It's really evolved into a bit.
Yeah. It's become it's sort of never, like everything else that we've done on the show, like that we're done very casually, have suddenly sort of become shtick.
Yeah, shtick.
for us. They've become a thing,
It's a bit of a shticky mode. I like shtick, you know?
I think people enjoy the joie de vivre you bring to that section.
I hope so. Speaking of joie de vivre, you know who doesn't have any is Matt, the cab driver in this film.
He's got for a character played by Jamie Foxx, he's got very little riz.
He
at the start of
is
this
film. In this movie.
What a performance!
He was nominated for an Oscar.
He was. Yeah, it really is a kind of brilliant performance that we will. There's so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about.
What a picture!
Let's start with. If you're ready to do so, your relationship with this motion picture. Where did it begin for you with 2003's Collateral? 2004's Collateral, I should
What
say.
is the release? August 5th?
August 6th.
Okay.
2004.
So I saw this film probably on August 6th, 2004, with my old man, Bill Billingham. We had watched Heat together. We'd watched The Insider together. I was pretty man-pilled. I think he liked Man, but I don't think he didn't really think about filmmakers in terms of filmmakers. I think he thought more about movies. But this, we saw this. It is probably the last film we ever saw together.
Wow.
If I remember correctly, because he passed about a year later. And in fact, I misremembered. I thought our last film together would have been Miami Vice, but it wouldn't have been. But so this would have been the last film we saw together. Rip that guy. And I have seen this movie since a bunch of times. It's probably my 6th or 7th viewing. I did, the Brooklyn Academy of Music did a Man retrospective in 2015 with a talk with Michael Mann, hosted by Bilge Ebiri before he was our friend. And I went to that. And I probably went to 6-7 movies at that. I went to Black Hat, I went to Heat, I went to The Insider, I went to this. So I saw it again in the theater on 35. And I feel like I watch this movie every 2 years. And I confirmed that my last watch of this movie before last night was August 2023.
Okay.
It's just, it's omnipresent
it's
in the
eminently
culture.
rewatchable, I think, as well, for a myriad of reasons. Not just the story, but the style, the vibe, certainly the performances across the board. The two leads are unbelievable, but the supporting cast is exceptional as well.
It's a murderer's row of
really is
of
it's an
dudes.
appropriate term for this movie. There's so much great stuff in it. You know what's weird for my history with it is, for some reason, I don't know, I must have had my head up my ass that summer, but I didn't go and see this at the cinema for some reason.
What have you done with
why.
Phil?
I know. I don't know what happened. I was body snatched for a brief period. For some reason, I didn't go, and I was trying to work out what was going on.
You were like, Michael Mann's mid. He's mid.
Oh, please.
Yeah, we all know how you feel about Michael Mann.
Season tickets. So, for some reason, I don't know, maybe if I'm being kind to myself, maybe I was doing a play or some reason why I was consumed with something. But probably more
Were you in university?
I was in the pub or something.
No, you were out of university, right?
No, I've been out of university for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I didn't go see it at the theatre, which is sort of inexplicable. But I do remember specifically being like... once it came out on DVD, I didn't fuck around. I just immediately bought it.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to bother renting this. I know it's going to be great. I'm a man completist, so let me make sure I arrest this slide by sorting it out straight away. Bought it, and I remember within sort of 20 minutes, or within less, in fact, within probably 5 minutes, I was like, holy shit, this is the best film I've seen in ages. Yeah,
it casts a spell. Is it because Statham shows up in the first 10 seconds?
You're immediately into the movie. It grabs you, but not in a sort of like grab you by the throat way, just because it's actually quite a subtle opening, but the mood of it is so strong. And then there is a gear change where, first of all, I'm like, this is the best film I've seen in ages. But then when it gets to a certain bit where it's like the FBI, something I love that Mann does a lot, where it's like the FBI strike team have to go in and realize that they have to extract the witness. And then it's like shots of the helicopter, LA's skyline reflected off a gleaming helicopter. And it's like,
yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, baby.
Now this is like a goated movie for me for all time. I absolutely love this film.
Is this a top three?
I don't know that it was. It's like, I mean,
it's
that's
tough.
a pretty tough.
Depending on
group.
the last movie you've watched, right?
That's like your Pulp Fictions and your Blade Runners and
top three mans.
Top three mans. That's a whole podcast.
Can I guess your three top mans?
Okay.
Manhunter.
I would probably put Manhunter
Heat.
in there. Yeah. Yes.
And Vice.
I would put this ahead of Vice.
Oh, wow.
I think it's a more complete, controlled movie than Miami Vice. Miami Vice is sort of sprawling, and it's like that late period Mann stuff where he's a bit more experimental with the form, whereas this is just so tight and so,
right.
Such a controlled, precise movie. I think Miami Vice has moments where it's sort of gloriously... the threads on spool a little
Unhinged
bit in that
a little
film.
bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit. There are moments of it that are more off the rails.
I have a theory about this, which is I think that when and I'm not the first person to articulate this, but I think when you make a movie like Heat, right, like that is in a way like the most highly praised movie ever made, but also weirdly like from an industry standard, at least when it came out, like gloriously underrated.
Right.
The next few movies, after that, he follows that up with The Insider, which is my number one Michael Mann movie.
Yeah,
I
love,
a country mile. It's a
Insider.
masterpiece. And then Ali, which I think is really great. And I think the opening montage is like the 10 of the best sequences in 10 minutes of the greatest cinema ever.
Yeah.
Then he makes this, we've talked about this before, that David Cronenberg expression, the well-made Victorian play. Like, This is like apex Michael Mann classical Hollywood content. Like, this movie, it like hums in that way. And then he starts to go down this, like, what I think incredible rabbit hole of Vice and like Our Beloved Public Enemies, which is top 5 for me, and Black Hat. Excuse me. Where it's like there's he's fucking around now. Like, he can, like, to me, Miami Vice is amazing because it's like all of Mann's peculiarities put into one movie.
Yes.
Whereas this is like, I'm gonna make a home run. I'm gonna make one for the regular.
It's such a bullseye. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think the other films he made after this are more of an acquired taste. Like they have, like we will defend Public Enemies to the hilt.
It's a masterpiece. Yeah.
Miami Vice to the hilt. There are people that would defend Black Hat to the hilt, but they are less of a. They're not. I wouldn't call them all bullseyes in terms of like mainstream. Hitting the mainstream.
Well, you're
dead on the target.
You're articulating something that makes my relationship to this movie complicated, because the first thing I'm going to say is that this is like a 5-star Hollywood great movie. It's such a crackerjack. My review is like, this movie's a fucking crackerjack. It rips. Like when fucking Mark Ruffalo shows up on screen with the slicked back hair and the mustache, I'm like, I'm in heaven, baby. And then there's
he's amazing.
It's amazing. And Peter Berg, just like
yeah.
you got but then there's this other part of me, and I remember when I saw this the second time being like, I kind of wish Michael Mann had written this screenplay. And I say that because there's and I really want to get into this in our section when we get into the anatomy of an action movie, when it's almost too perfect for me. It's almost too well made of a Victorian play, which I don't say because that's not a bad thing. I just have like such an interesting relationship to the way that this movie makes me feel as a fan of like late period Michael Mann, when I think he's at like his weirdest and his best.
Right.
And we can get there, but this is like such an incredible achievement, and also fun to unpack from like a how does it make you feel perspective.
I have a question when we get to that section that I think might help specify this kind of conversation. Sick. As to where we're going with it, because I think we're thinking along similar lines.
Oh, cool.
But let's get some fast facts in the cab and take them to their destination. Director, I don't know what that was.
No, I loved it.
That was
kidding?
A hideously laboured
that's fine.
metaphor. I don't know what I'm doing there. Right, directed by Michael Mann.
Heard of him.
Written by Stuart Beattie. Produced by Michael Mann and Julie Richardson, and it stars Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx, Jada Pinkett Smith, Mark Ruffalo, Peter Berg, Bruce McGill, pardon me. Distributed by DreamWorks and Paramount on August 6th, 2004, on a budget of $65 million. It grossed $220.2 million. A huge hit.
That's incredible.
Oscar, critical acclaim across the board. Almost, I think, universal critical acclaim.
Everyone is in love with Michael Mann at this moment. Yeah. I think it's like his best moment.
Yeah. But it's so interesting, to your point that we will unpack, is that this isn't a film that he developed in the traditional way that he usually develops his projects. He came onto this in some ways. I think hired gun is, no pun intended, is probably the wrong term, because that's just not what Michael Mann does. If he takes on a project, it inevitably becomes, a solely his.
Do you think he's an obsessive? No, I don't think so.
No, I think he's pretty chill.
Yeah,
about that, right? I was listening to the commentary, and there's a bit where, the scene where the car hits the construction bit in the center of like downtown LA and like crashes, and without a shred of irony on the commentary, Michael Mann goes so I wanted the car to turn 9 times during this stunt. He's literally like controlling the physics of a car crash. Like, it's the level of meticulous precision is extraordinary.
I think that's what what makes Ferrari profound to me is it's a movie about how the need for mechanical control leads inevitably to death. There's a real that I feel like people's feelings on that film are mixed, but it's one of the great confessions, I think, of filmmaking history.
Absolutely how I read it was that this was him looking in the mirror.
Yeah,
and wrestling with his own nature to some extent. That's how I kind of read Ferrari as a form of self-reflexive, disguised autobiography.
Incredible late style stuff, to me.
So, but I guess once Mann hits beyond a certain point, he's sort of got nothing to prove as a filmmaker. So therefore, he can kind of indulge his more eccentric flourishes as an artist, which I think is what a lot of the late period stuff is their run times are often longer. They're a little bit more, they're not as accessible.
They're messy.
As Collateral. Yeah, they're messy. It's a perfect way to put it. Whereas this is neat, you know? Right. And it's not to say that he's still precise, even when he's messy with his but the product comes across sometimes as a little bit less tailored.
Well, it's, to draw this... One of the philosophical ideas in this movie is improvising and having a plan, right? And it's not that I think Mann is improvising, but I think in the later movies, he is trying to get somewhere as an artist, but he's not always necessarily, he's kind of letting the road take him where he wants to take him a little bit. Like the fact that Black Hat has 2 major sequences that were reversed for the theatrical release, and it makes no sense in the theatrical. And then you watch the director's cut, and you're like, I guess that makes more sense. It makes more sense, but he's still just sort of it feels like there's a little more riffage, especially in Black Hat and Miami Vice.
Miami Vice has a totally alternate cut with with really a totally different beginning where there's a speedboat race. We'll talk about that when we cover it on 48 Hours of buddy movies, which we will get to. But we're speaking of improvisation. The theme of improvisation is a big aspect of both this film and Die Hard, which is why we're talking about it on this show. So why don't we pin that down in a section that we like to call
Die Hard DNA. Are you listening, Blake Howard? I'm going to keep the joke.
Oh, shit. Yeah. He gave his shit.
He better be.
Shit in the phone booth
because it's a Michael Mann episode. His boy, his best friend.
So why are we talking about Collateral in the context of Die Hard? Well, as we've talked about many times, the Die Hard paradigm, I've distilled it down to bad guy takes over a blank up to one guy to fight back. So while this may not feel like a Die Hard scenario on face value, it would be a classic example of that paradigm, right? Because you have a ruthless hitman, Vincent, takes over a taxi cab to perform a series of assassinations across the city, and it's up to an ordinary guy, cab driver Max, to fight back and stop him. So it absolutely kind of hits that macro criteria. What it then becomes is a battle of wits and wills between these two very different men with different moral codes who actually have some similarities despite their seeming external differences. We talked before, and this is coming up more and more as the show evolves, and in this phase, this idea of how Die Hard is a guy in a box, as Andrew Vanya talked about when he was producing Die Hard with a Vengeance. We discussed this in detail in that phone booth episode. This is another example of that idea. It's just that the box is mobile as opposed to phone booth where it is static. Both Die Hard and Collateral take place in Los Angeles over the course of one long night. Die Hard begins with the main character arriving at LAX, then taking a taxi ride of sorts through LA, specifically through the downtown LA Century City area, with Argyle, a black chauffeur driver who mentions that he used to drive a cab, driving John McClane to the Nakatomi
and asking intrusive questions.
Plaza. Yes, yeah. Hey man, I used to drive a cab. People expect a little chit chat.
Yeah.
Right? That whole deal. He goes from LAX to a skyscraper in LA. So that vibe is,
that's a really, I mean, that's obvious, but also a good shout.
You wouldn't necessarily think about it because that's not the first thing you think about when you think of Die Hard.
No, you
right?
think of a building.
You think of him jumping off the building and all the stuff that comes later, but you forget how the movie begins. The vibe is actually very similar in both films.
Yeah, it is. No, that's a really good point. You think of the Christmas party.
Right.
Yeah.
You sort of forget that the prologue is almost identical. Guy arrives at LAX. He's not from that city. He's taken in a vehicle to Century City, downtown, blah, 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 blah.
There's
sunset,
a bit with
et cetera,
luggage.
et cetera.
That's like a bit
right.
of the thing.
It's the same. So, yeah, Collateral begins with Vincent arriving at LAX, later being picked up by Max. Another element is that the police and the FBI are slow on the uptake. They misunderstand what's going on to the extent that they think the good guy is actually a bad guy who is part of the problem.
Yes.
Right? That is a key plot point here because they think that Max is actually the real assassin. The FBI jump to conclusions. They're very arrogant. However, the hero has one ally on the LAPD who is smart, who is dedicated, and who understands what's really happening, which is Al Powell or Detective Fanning, played by Mark Ruffalo.
I would watch
this
a 10
movie,
episode series about Mark Ruffalo in this
he's
part.
Awesome, so cool.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that.
I know.
Die Hard with a Vengeance also involves a long sequence in a taxi where John McClane commandeers a yellow cab. During the scene, Zeus, played by Samuel L. Jackson, mentions that he used to drive a cab, and he and McClane argue over the fastest route. And Die Hard with a Vengeance also features several scenes involving mayhem and violence on the subway, just like the finale of Collateral.
Are there any actors... Oh, Shades of Speed, too. Speed takes place on the LA subway. Are there any actors that these movies share? I couldn't think of any.
I couldn't think of any off the top of my head in terms of like personnel or crew.
I couldn't either.
Or, the key kind of filmmaking HODs or anything. I could stand to be corrected, but nothing leapt out.
Okay.
It was all actually the actual creative content of the movies. But we can explore that content in more detail when we come back after this quick break. And we're back with our next section. I haven't asked you in a while.
How are your
haven't asked me,
going?
And I still don't have an acceptable
improvise,
backhand
I Ching,
for this
shit.
serve.
Let's go.
Yeah, improvise. I'll improvise my way around it. Well, we're back with our next section of the show, Anatomy of an Action Movie, where we explore the tenets.
We live in a twilight world,
and there are no friends at dusk.
Tenet is kind of picture. Tenet is to Christopher Nolan as Miami Vice is to Michael Mann. Is my submission. The peculiarities.
I've got to unpack that.
The particularities, the kind of like one of my favorite things about Miami Vice is half the time you don't,
I get it. Okay, yeah.
You don't know what people are saying. And Tenet, but some people think that's unintentional. Like there's like a sort of like fuck it, go along for the ride. It's visceral, it's intense, it's in your face, it's romantic.
Yeah,
deeply romantic. It's about men who love each other more than they love the woman. But like there's a real sort of like abstraction to its plotting.
And they're both very sort of good-looking movies as well. Like everyone is tailored beautifully.
Yes.
The clothes, the suits, the environments that were in boats.
Totally.
Glamour. I think that's a really interesting.
I think about that a lot because I think about Tenet and Miami.
Well, Nolan. There's a couple of other filmmakers I think that make me think of Michael Mann in different ways in terms of their career trajectories. And I think Nolan is one and Ridley Scott is the other.
Admittedly,
in the way where they will, like, sometimes they'll do something that is incredibly tight and precise, and sometimes they go a little off the rails. With a movie like Dark Knight Rises that doesn't feel like a particularly controlled movie.
But it's like symphonically insane, which is like, and when you get on the wavelength, it's special. You know?
Yeah, I think you're right. Like Tenet is similar to when it's like a longer movie, it's a less accessible movie, but it has people that, if you're into it, you're absolutely obsessed with it like we are. And Mann's later career work has a lot of comps like that. Ridley Scott similarly will sometimes make more eccentric movies, but now and again he will just do something incredibly tight,
like Thelma and Louise,
Thelma and Louise, which we
or Alien,
about, right?
or his early career,
right.
It's kind of like these guys get the keys to the it's the blank check theory. You didn't invent it. There's a great podcast that covers that, but they kind of like. They get to play a little more jazz, which is a great transition.
Indeed. I love it. So we're all about those slick transitions, baby.
You know us, guys.
Yeah. So let's talk about the first tenet of Anatomy of an Action Movie is the premise. The premise of Collateral is as follows. Fastidious cab driver Max, Jamie Foxx, picks up a mysterious passenger named Vincent, Tom Cruise, who, impressed with Max's driving and knowledge of the sprawling city, offers to hire him for the night while he makes a few stops around LA. However, Max soon discovers that Vincent is in fact a contract killer who then forces Max to drive him around the city so he can assassinate a list of people involved in a massive federal case.
Fucking incredible.
As an ordinary guy pitted against a skilled and ruthless hitman, Max must somehow find a way to survive and stop Vincent from completing his deadly mission. Now, with that said, I think I have a question that might, can
I just very quickly say the premise of this movie is like
brilliant.
It's like not Speed, but like not that far below it.
No, that's a great point. I think we've talked about one of the greatest premises of all time. I would put this dead on. I totally agree. It's right at the top. It also was like probably around the last time when this could get made before the kind of uber lift revolution changed.
That's a really good point.
Especially in Los Angeles. Of course, this film was originally set in New York, where the cab culture is very much part of the kind of milieu of daily life. In LA, it's a bit more unusual, although it is totally a city dominated by freeways and cars.
I can't wait till...
It's not... I haven't taken a cab in LA since,
in my 5 years, I don't think I took.
When I first came here, I did, and that was maybe 2007, right? So it was on the way. It was kind of on the way out, so it was made at the perfect time.
Well, I can't wait for Collateral 2 when a Waymo has to stop its killer passenger from killing people.
Totally. So my question for you that might frame the kind of conversation that we started to kind of nibble on. Is this the most elevated thriller ever made?
Oh, wow. That's not the question I expected, but I think it's a good one. So I want to answer this within the context of more Mann conversation, if we can, because this feels to me like, in some ways, Heat distilled.
Yeah.
Because in some ways it's shocking that a 2 hour and 52-minute cops and robbers film that ultimately is an ensemble drama, right? Like, what is it that makes Heat so alluring? I mean, amazing performances, one of the great action sequences of all time. But it's like, to me, it's like you spend time with the short order cook whose name escapes me at this exam. Like it's and you watch Wayne grow, and you kind of have this like almost ensemble drama Robert Altman kind of feel. Like the peripheral of that movie is as interesting as anything else. It's like a maximally sized sprawling LA film. It's one of the great LA sprawl films in its way, right? And I think the other thing that attracts me to it is how Mann has sort of made this movie about different philosophical approaches to the world. So De Niro is the heat around the corner. You got to have a plan. You got to be working towards something, right? Pacino is I'm only as good as whatever I'm going after, right? Like always gets his man. And this is a direct quote from Mann is, Scheherlis is an existentialist. He just kind of like follows his impulses. He's very postmodern. I love listening to Mann talk about his own movies because he's so intelligent.
Commentaries are great.
Yeah, they're incredible. And I think this, in a way, feels like a natural fit for Michael Mann. It's LA, it's a hitman, it's a cop drama, and then there are these philosophical ideas at its core that I think are really compelling. And, you're in a cab, you got to find a way to make it interesting. So make these guys have existential conversations. So I think it's incredibly elevated. And there are times, and I felt this since the rewatch 10 years ago, where I feel very aware of the screenplay. And I don't know what that means, except to say that, like, so for example, I think the chemistry between Jada Pinkett Smith and Jamie Foxx is like, and she's incredible in this movie.
This is probably my favorite performance she's ever done.
And like when she comes and gives him the card and stuff like that. But there is this kind of way, and I'm really curious for your thoughts on this, where she like, when she's talking about how like, oh, then I cry, like, oh, I get really nervous, and I work myself up, then I cry, then I whatever. I feel very like aware that I'm like listening to words that a writer wrote. And I feel that way a little bit. I think Cruise is, this is a top 3 Tom Cruise performance too, but there are just times when I feel like the themes of the movie are broadcast, and I can't decide what the difference is between that and the conversation that like De Niro and Pacino have in the coffee shop, because it's not that different, except that I think Michael Mann didn't put his like signature technical jargon way of speaking. This feels like he didn't write the screenplay. And I think there's a little bit like Heat doesn't have a high concept, right? It's an incredible drama, but it's not like the ticking clock is like kind of moot to the point of what it's about.
It's not an elevator pitch, is it? It's like there's a cop and there's a robber.
Right. And the movie's about
hilarity ensues.
Yeah, and the movie's about
Right.
like the chase between those two against this like unfolding backdrop of LA.
Right.
Michael Mann is less concept artist, if that makes sense, and more like I make dramas or I make action dramas. So I don't know. I'm trying to parse it through, but to me, it feels the most sort of like, yes, elevated and scripted in some weird way. It feels like the most Hollywood of all of his films, like, and that's fine.
What I kind of mean by that is I think whilst this is an undeniably amazing premise, I think in the hands of another, a lesser filmmaker with lesser actors, this could be a kind of, that was like a pretty good high concept-y. The movies that we see today that are on streamers that are, and I don't want to sort of necessarily name it because I don't want to sort of disrespect anybody, but there's a version of it that is just a sort of down the middle, fairly mundane thriller with a cool hook. But
100.
Because you have Michael Mann behind the camera and everything that he brings to it. None of that is in any way disrespectful to Stuart Beattie, who I think is a brilliant writer.
Totally, 100%.
And this screenplay is amazing. Of course, Mann will have had his fingerprints on it and will have done some. Inevitably, he's going to do some rewriting to put his stamp on it. But this is Stuart Beattie's concept. This was his original screenplay. It was a hot screenplay.
Yeah,
it almost got made in a number of different ways with different actors and different filmmakers. But my point is, I would struggle. The only other thing I think I could think of, and this did come up in another episode, maybe that's why, is that Witness would be an example of one of maybe the most elevated thrillers ever made. Now that does have more of a conceptual idea because it's but basically a young boy witnesses a murder, has to hide out in the Amish community, and a city cop from Philadelphia comes to sort of protect them.
Should we watch Witness right now?
No. But that has more. That's quite unusual, and therefore it almost becomes a piece about the subculture and about America and about religion and about community.
Well, yeah, I would also say
this is an urban fucking thriller.
Yeah,
right. This is just a straightforward urban thriller, hitman movie. But because you have, it's just I cannot really think of too many other examples of where an auteur of the caliber of Michael Mann. Now, Ridley Scott. Is more prolific filmmaker than Michael Mann. So he's made things like we talked about, like Matchstick Men, which are more sort of straight down the line, but so elevated because it's Ridley Scott and because of the performances. Again, also a brilliant screenplay. But my point, it doesn't have the kind of weight of the typical, it's a Michael Mann movie. We've been waiting 5 years for this. He's gone and lived in the Amazon to make this. It's 2.5 hours long, and it's like, it's a bit, this is just like, it's a straight,
kind of a programmer?
Exactly. It could be like an elevated programmer with a cool high concept hook, but it transcends because of the filmmaking. And
you're totally right.
I can't think of another example, because even Witness just already feels slightly prestige because of the Amish. The idea that it's examining a subculture.
Well, I also think it's fair to say Peter Weir is one of the great poetic, lyrical filmmakers
100%.
of all time.
Of course, of course.
I mean, he's
so lyrical.
Yeah, he's like Malick, but not.
Yes, yeah. But I'm saying, if it wasn't Peter Weir directing it, and it was just or was that destined to be something more prestigious? That's the only other example I could think of like that. I can't think of a more elevated, straightforward thriller than this. I think it probably is the most elevated thriller ever made, because thriller is not, the reason I say that is because the thriller genre is not considered as a prestige genre.
Right.
It is considered as one of those buckets. You think of I think of thriller and I think of like Unlawful Entry or something. A lot of movies that are as a yardstick. A lot of those sort of there's not huge special effects. It's maybe 2-3 bankable actors, they're recognizable locations, a house, some streets, there's a cop involved, that type of thing. They're sort of not particularly ambitious, a thriller. They can be made at a price, they're at a modest budget range, and it's just usually sort of star driven, rather than like too much in the way of the concept, right? There was a ton of them in the late 80s and 90s. That was like the golden age.
Well, yeah, and it was like thrillers. It was sort of like the movie of the week. a little bit, right? Like that's part of it too. No,
I mean, the video shelves in the stores that were filled with these thrillers that were like star driven. So I just think that was what was my overarching thought about it. But I do want to ask you about this. The second thing I wanted to ask you, we always ask this question: what is this movie about? So I want to give you a chance to sort of think about maybe the philosophy, existentialism, class, economics. The thing that interests me the most was this idea of self-actualization. The fact that Max is a character with untapped potential is sort of basically drifting. He's a leaf blowing in the wind, and has no sort of guidance system necessarily. He's sort of vague. He has this plan, but he's never going to execute it. He has this business plan for the chauffeur-driven limo service, but he's never going to execute it. He's been prevaricating. And then a character enters his orbit that, although the character is totally amoral and awful person, nonetheless, there's something about him that unlocks an untapped potential. So I thought that was kind of very interesting. But I'm curious for you to just sort of pass through the things that interest you of all the different themes that are thrown up into the mix with this film that does make it transcend beyond the events that occur in the film.
So I sometimes struggle with characters talking about their philosophy in movies. I think it can be reductive. If there's ever a filmmaker that's really good at handling it, I think Michael Mann handles it incredibly well. I think the thing that interests me the most about this movie is how Tom Cruise, Vincent's philosophy is self-deception. And one thing I like about this movie is that actually Vincent's quite bad at his job. I think that he's kind of a bad hitman. I think that this is a bit of a Fincher. There's like a Fincher the killer commentary in this, right? Where it's like, if you know the cab is parked down below, maybe don't put the fucking guy through the window. Like there are these little hints that he's really he's evil, right? But he's also all about himself, and he's a bit of a bloviator. And I find the thing about Jamie Foxx's character very relatable is we all have dreams and ambitions, right? That we never realize. That's true of everyone. Everyone has the big project they're going to make that they might not get to. Even if you're very successful, it's like there's things that I've been thinking about for years that I just haven't done. And the relatable comfortability of that. Oh, once I get this, I'm really going to make this thing happen, right? And it's very relatable. I think that the ultimate theme of this movie is hey, we're all going to die. So stop living in fear. Mm-hmm. Which is what causes this third act moment second to third act when Jamie Foxx chooses to crash the cab, right? The kind of fuck it, then fuck it. Who gives a fuck? It's a little like Fight Club in that way, right? So, but I do think that the character of Vincent is a bit of a masquerade, right? He's built up this armor so that he doesn't have to deal with his own murderous nature. Who gives a shit? 1 million people died in Rwanda. Right. Who gives a fuck about one fat Angelina? Which is really funny. Right. It's actually a really funny line. And I think when Cruise is mean, he's amazing. He's so amazing when he's mean. Yeah. Bring back this Tom Cruise in some ways. Just being a dick. So I'm really intrigued by the element, the self-deception. Because if there's one guy who's probably, I hope, not going to pass away with regrets, it's Michael Mann. I think Michael Mann has really, he sees something and he goes for it, and he's incredibly focused, and all of his characters are reflections of self, I think. You mentioned Ferrari being kind of a picture about looking in the mirror. I think all the movies are looking in the mirror in some way, right?
Well, that makes me think of Thief in particular as a character that is totally trying to achieve self-control and self-actualization to some extent, right? And says, I am like Joe the boss of my own life, basically. That's what he's striving for. And he has to find ways to navigate this sort of the tentacles that try and control him, as embodied in that film by this Midwestern crime boss played by Robert Prosky, who literally wants to control not just his career but also his family through adoption. He has to try. So there's a metaphor there about trying to navigate the movie business.
Incredible, that movie.
And do it how you want it done,
right?
As a self-actualized individual.
As a
So I
side
think that
note, I
is
just rewatched Thief for the first time in a couple years. I got that Criterion 4K. That move, like,
talk about controlled
it's perfect.
movie.
It's perfect.
You know, it is a masterpiece.
It's a total
It's an absolute
first
masterpiece.
feature, like a first, like, incredible. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, they're all reflections, I think, and I think this one is about maybe the two versions of man that he's glad don't exist, right?
Yeah.
That kind of like talks a big talk but doesn't do anything and drives a cab and has a kind of menial job, but like just practices the self-deception of the beach. I go on vacation all the time kind of thing. Right. And that's where I sometimes, like, I mentioned earlier, feeling the screenplay. I really feel the screenplay when he's talking about looking at the picture, right? It just, it rubs me in a way that it just doesn't feel like it's like there's an incongruity between the way Mann films this movie and some of the writing in the movie. It to me is the thing. But to get back to my point, it's like the two like Michael Mann, is there a world where Michael Mann's like, I became a contract killer, because it's like the discipline of it, or the intensity, or like going on a wayward path and justifying that philosophically, because I think he is someone who thinks deeply about the things he makes and the subcultures that he exists in, right?
It's interesting, yeah, what you're saying, because it's making me think that actually, that I think that both in some ways, it's about two characters having their self-image shattered.
Totally.
In some ways, because there is a key scene where the Tom Cruise character, when Max does reach that point of sort of a nihilism to some extent, when he's like, okay, well, if nothing matters, then fuck it, I'll just crash the car and we'll sort of embrace chaos and we'll see what happens.
Exactly.
At that point, what he's saying to Tom Cruise is absolutely destroying Tom Cruise's self-image, because he's saying, like, you're something wrong with you. You are missing components that normal people have. And I think, what does he say to him? So he's like, I think you're bad news. And, you're just, if you watch Tom Cruise's performance, and Mann talks about this on the commentary, it's the first time that Max actually like punctures the Vincent character's armor and starts to make him it actually cuts him quite deep. He won't, tries not to show it.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
Right?
It's like men will become a contract killer rather than go to therapy. Like these two should have a podcast. But I just mean that, like, there's like a certain amount of, like, they're actually very similar.
Yeah.
But one has built up a wall. They both have built up walls. They're both walls of self-deception about who they are as people. Like, there's shades of
to some extent.
The later Heath Ledger's The Joker. And Tom Cruise is like, yeah, I killed my old man. Like, I love that shit when he says that. And Jamie Foxx says, sorry. He's like, I'm kidding. And then he says he died of liver disease. Like, and Tom Cruise is so fucking good in this movie also, just as a side note. But yeah, there's like, I'm really intrigued by that. I think the way that Heat articulates these ideas, and they're different, and in some ways they're similar, is really more powerful to me. Like the way Val Kilmer sees the gesture from Ashley Judd and just lives to survive another day, right? Like he's a romantic, but he's also like, I just got to survive, right? Like Pacino and De Niro holding hands at the end of the movie and not saying anything. It's actually like very romantic. And so that works better for me a little bit as a viewer. But I do think the character arc that Jamie Foxx goes through in this movie is really, really special and
I
incredibly well measured.
I want to get into that in a subsequent section, but I think my last thought maybe on this is, I think, is a really interesting way. It's literally just occurred to me as we're talking in reference to the wider body of Mann's work, especially Heat and also Thief. Is this idea of a character's philosophy being stress tested by the real world.
Oh, that's great. Totally.
Right? If you think about Thief, it's a guy who also, that character also has that postcard that he creates in prison that sort of
like mood board.
His kind of, it's like his vision board, and it's crudely constructed, but it's for him a kind of guiding light. And then you have the real world. There's those characters like this, Chicago local crime lord that wants to control everything. And then there's the corrupt police, and there's all of these things that he has to navigate that prevent that vision from occurring. But he has a philosophy. I am self-actualized and I will run my own life. And everything he encounters tries to prevent that. I think similarly in Heat, those all these characters have a different philosophical approach to the world. The one that escapes, as you mentioned, is the Chris Shiherlis character, because he has a sort of malleable approach to things. Whereas
he doesn't believe in anything in the same way.
Macaulay's more rigid. Yeah. And then also when he deviates from his rigidity and tries to improvise, that's when he ultimately goes down. Right.
It's like a cosmic tragedy for that character in that way.
A lot of these films, I think in Public Enemies, is about that. Mann called it a Darwinian crush. Beautiful turn of phrase. It's about a character who believes the world, I can function in this world in one way, and the reality that crashes into that philosophical approach speaks differently. And it's about characters caught in that Darwinian crush in some respect.
We've talked about this on our friend Justin and Laura's Cows in the Field podcast, but the way modernity crashes into a person, right? Like he's Dillinger in retrospect is just like a romantic, right? Like he's like not a Robin Hood, but he's like a Bonnie and Clyde kind of figure, where he's just like stealing money from banks. It's cool. It's rebellious. It's outlaw. And it's like, no, the actual fucking money is like made in a completely different way. Like, yeah, it really is. The movies are all stress tests of the personality of the protagonists, right?
And it's often people yearning for some kind of freedom.
Yeah, the looking out into the ocean that it seems to feature, or into the landscape.
Jeffrey White wants to be free of the constraints of these corporate monsters in The Insider. And also Pacino wants to be, I want to be a completely ethical journalist, but he has to answer to CBS and the powers of the corporate machine.
Movie is so relevant.
So oh, absolutely. It's what, everyone needs to go and watch The Insider if you've never seen it, or even if you have seen it, watch it again.
Watch it now. Stop the podcast.
Couldn't be more relevant.
Yeah.
Right? For obvious reasons. So there's so much. All of this thing, I think, I come back to that idea.
Can I say
it probably
one thing,
is the most elevated thriller ever made.
Yes, and I think that this is the distillation of many of those things. This film, it's a cab, it's two characters. It's not political in the way that I think. It's not like as deeply philosophical as Heat or as sprawling as Heat. It's not as political as The Insider or Public Enemies, which I think is a deeply political movie. Yeah. But it is more about two people looking each other in the eye. And, there's that incredible moment with the coyote.
Oh, yeah.
And the Audio Slave song. Maybe the best use of an Audio Slave song in the history of movies, where they're just like, and it's kind of like, that to me is that moment where it's like, how are you dealing with the world outside this cab?
Yeah.
And how they...
Because it's filled with danger and chaos and predators.
Yeah.
And the coyote moment is such a beautiful moment because, as we well know, living in LA, in the neighborhood where you used to live and where I still live, I see them every day.
Totally.
When I'm taking my son to school, because we live quite by the mountains. And there is this sense we are kind of on the edge of the wild. And Mann talked about that moment actually on the commentary, and he said this is something that really happened to him. And he said the vibe I felt in the moment was it was as if the coyotes were saying, like, this is still our territory. Okay. Which is pretty interesting.
I don't want to deviate too much, but there's a couple moments, there's a lot of moments in this movie that are like pure Mann to me. Most of the movie. But like there are real distillations. And one is this, and the other is the scene, God, it's so fucking good, I rewound it, where Ruffalo and Berg show up at McGill's surveillance.
Yeah.
And he goes, people come, people go, vehicles come. It's like, it's the poetry of, like, Michael Mann clearly was like, here's what you're going to say. Forget like, we've been here since 8 p.m. Like there was much more talk, but like, it's poetry. It's pure poetry. I don't remember the exact line.
The exact line he says is, most of the time we watch air move.
Yeah.
And Ruffalo just kind of goes like, what? Like, and then he's like, you're interested in our case?
Yeah.
He's such a prick.
Yeah.
You like him kind of because it's Bruce
McGill.
Because it's Bruce McGill.
Wipe that smile off your face.
But exactly. So he's goated for that. Like, wipe that smile off your face.
Yeah. But the way he just uses these three lines to give them nothing, but it's also like poetry.
Yeah.
It's so fucking good, dude. It's like,
it's great.
That's Mann. It's like in a moment of incredible technicality, he finds this poetry.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, this film's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's start by talking, we'll flip it around. We all talk about the hero and the villain. Let's talk about the villain first. Tom Cruise as Vincent.
Max. No, I'm just kidding.
What an incredible kind of image-busting performance.
Yeah, it's special.
From a star, who usually plays heroes. I think the only example I could think of prior to this was Interview with the Vampire, where he had played, a more villainous character.
Yeah.
Right? But typically at this point in his, before this sort of mini renaissance he had with this run of Magnolia, Vanilla Sky, the Eyes Wide Shut, this all in a relatively compressed time frame, when he was like, I'm really going to do some, I'm going to stretch myself as an actor.
It's hard to overestimate how cool this period of time was. Because we had this actor who's like, oh, Tom Cruise, he does, Top Gun, and he does Days of Thunder, and he does Mission Impossible
franchise,
And then all of a sudden it's like Jerry Maguire, you're like, oh, shit. Like, what a enjoyable
Oscar nomination.
Yeah, he's so fun in that movie. And then it's like, he's doing the misogynist speech in Magnolia.
Yeah.
And he's on set with Kubrick for like months, and that gets him Magnolia because that's where he meets PTA. And then he does Vanilla Sky, which is like such a fascinating movie.
One of my favorite movies I've ever made.
Yeah, it is. Incredible.
At some point, I hope someone invites me on a podcast to talk about it, because that film
Cows in the Field.
Literally changed my life, and not in a pat way, in an actually very actionable way. Which we'll talk about.
I think that movie. Point. I just rewatched that movie in the last year, and like
it's amazing.
I was like just so blown away by it's like the fact that it was like a big Hollywood movie, and then this thing, and it's like, it's hard to watch a Tom Cruise movie without thinking about Tom Cruise,
right?
And we're not going to unpack that, but. One of the things that I think Mann recognizes about Tom Cruise is that this is a guy who wants control over every aspect of his career, his persona, his relationship to an audience. And I'm going to put him in a movie where he's a control freak that loses control.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
And
that's great.
It's such a powerful use of he weaponizes a movie star.
Yeah.
In a way that like, Soderbergh is also able to do.
Similarly to the story of the film, it's unlocking his potential, his untapped potential.
Totally.
What was new? Tom Cruise was like an incredible movie star and had done amazing performances in things like Rain Man, where there's no pyrotechnics or effects or planes flying.
He's so good as an arrogant
shit,
guy, right?
Right. Yeah. And The Firm as well. It wasn't like he hasn't done serious dramas, but nothing like this.
Well, and also like some of this is present in Mission Impossible. The like shit-eating, smirky kind of like the trick with the hand magic that he does with the CD, the knock list, where he's like, where did he like? Did he have two discs? Like this is like the nihilistic articulation of that character. He's amazing. He's so good in this film. I think the most interesting movie star performances are the ones where you're thinking about the movie star as much as you're thinking about the character they're playing. And I think that this is one of those great. You never forget that you're watching like Tom Cruise, but you're also like, this is Vincent, the murderer.
Yes. Yeah. Well, he sort of, exactly. It's more of he disappears into the character, whereas I think the later Mission Impossible films feel like we're not watching Ethan Hunt, we're watching Tom Cruise.
Yeah, and that's interesting too, but it's missing that. It doesn't have the like, you don't know what the fuck's going to happen in this movie.
This guy's unpredictable.
Totally.
And riveting, and just everything about this, it's not like a typical Tom Cruise performance, like the way he speaks, his delivery, his control of his own body, his mannerisms, his appearance, everything is just like, wow, this is a Tom Cruise we've never seen before. And it's an amazing character. It's an amazing characterization.
When he's talking in the jazz club and he goes, that's an amazing story. I can't wait to tell the guys in Colombia and Cartagena that story.
Yeah.
And like, like this isn't just a stop at a jazz club.
The acting of the actor in what's his name? It's Barry Shabaka Henley. In that moment of where you see his face fall and he realizes I'm probably going to die tonight,
that dude,
if not in a few minutes. We're going to come to him. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to make, like, what a scene. And it's still also it is like one of those like Dark Knight of the Soul movies, or like a Night from Hell movie.
Yep.
Falling Down is kind of like this, so sort of Odyssey into urban hell, After Hours, those kind of movies. But each chapter it never misses.
Totally.
Every chapter, there's not I don't like this, but I'll skip this scene. Every checkpoint on the Odyssey is extraordinary.
Totally.
And that jazz sequence, oh, what a movie.
I was just looking
this
at
movie.
Barry Shabaka Henley's credits, and like, you know, he's in Ali, he's in Miami Vice, he's Castillo, which I forgot about. Like, what a fucking, he's in a movie called Fallen. Do you remember Fallen? I'm a big Fallen fan. I really like Fallen.
I need to rewatch that.
Yeah. Gregory Hoblet, low key kind of a king. I really like Gregory Hoblet.
Yeah. Primal Fear, right?
Yeah. Oh, the ending of Primal Fear, my God. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I was just going to say about this, and I think we can move on. Suffice to say, Tom Cruise, pretty good in this movie.
Pretty excellent.
Incredible.
Really insane that Foxx gets an Oscar nomination and Tom Cruise
he didn't.
Doesn't.
Yeah. They both should have been nominated.
I looked back at that year last night, and I was like, nobody's thinking about Johnny Depp and Finding Neverland. I hate to say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That beats this out.
Yeah, I mean, that movie was up for like 9 Oscars.
Jeez, I don't even like. I've never seen it. Maybe it's amazing, but give me a fucking break.
It just feels very like the film earned 7 nominations at the 77th Academy Awards. And again, I haven't seen the film. I don't mean any disrespect, but like, I don't know. Sometimes I like to play this game where you look. Okay, so $1 Million Baby, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind,
sure,
Aviator. Like, there are some good movies this year, but like, I think
this performance has lived on, you know, for a long time, and this movie has remained relevant and in the conversation in ways that the some of those other movies haven't. I think.
I just feel like no one's.
Is just a polite way to put that,
I totally
in terms
agree.
of their lasting cultural impact. Maybe Finding Neverland is an amazing movie. I can't comment. I haven't seen it.
Me neither.
But I never had a desire to. You know, so.
It feels like this doesn't feel like an Oscar movie. That the fact that this got a Best Supporting Actor nomination.
That's what I'm saying.
Tells you about where Mann was. I mean, he'd done The Insider, which is like a weird Oscar movie, but an Oscar movie nonetheless, right? Anyway, speaking of
the last thing I was just going to say on this was some time ago when me and my mates from university we're so film, like we're film or you know, day and night. It's all we ever think about. It's all we ever do. We're hanging out watching movies, and we play these different kind of games that were around movies. And one of this game we did one time with my buddies, as I recall, was Keith and Marcus. Was we hung out, you know, got some beers in, and it was like, we're going to each bring 10 movies, and we're going to play like 10 scenes that are like most important to us for some reason. And it was like this really cool way of kind of deepening your friendships and relationships. And it would be fun because you would be changing it every, you know, few minutes, and then you would talk about why this means so much to you and blah blah blah. And it was such a fun, cool game.
Yeah.
This is when we're very young, in our early 20s, like immediately after graduating from film school and stuff. Anyway, one of the scenes that I picked was the alley scene from this movie, because where Tom Cruise,
hey, homie,
he's just come back. Yeah, exactly. He's just come back from for anyone that hasn't seen it or doesn't know what I'm talking about, he's just coming back to the taxi. Max is handcuffed to the steering wheel. 2 opportunistic muggers try and steal the executive. Tom Cruise catches them mid-act and then executes them in the most extraordinary way. And the reason I chose it was because it was like, I could tell that this, for what is 2 seconds of screen time maybe, and the way that Tom Cruise strikes the guy's arm, then rapid really, you know, aiming of his gun, and then capping off like 2 shots very quickly at close range. I thought I would be certain that would take 3 to 6 months of training for 2 seconds of screen time. And that to me was like, that is why that man is so the obsessiveness of his nature is like, that's the result. And that's a scene that immediately tells you how lethal this guy is. Right. Even in a situation where he's dealing with 2 armed men in close proximity, the way he's able to deal with that, it's like every hard day of training to do that is worth it. So that was the one last thing I wanted to say about
No, that's a really
Tom
good
Cruise's
point.
performance.
Yeah,
you know,
he's technically, I mean, you get he's an obsessive too.
yes.
So you get Mann and Cruise together. I can't imagine it was the funnest set half the time. It's a bunch of very serious
I don't
guys.
think they generally are. Well, one of the stories that on the commentary I heard this morning where Michael Mann was talking about the club scene, and he was like, oh, we managed to get all these Korean extras from like USC and around the neighborhood to be in a panicked state for 12 to 14 hours a day for 5 days. And he says it so casually, like, that
and
sounds
then that Chicago
awful.
way that he, like that Chicago way.
That sounds like torture for these people.
Yeah,
you know.
But it's like that's
what
the discipline.
That's the discipline. Well, let's talk about the hero. I know we've got a lot to cover. Jamie Foxx as Max Durocher. I'm not sure if I'm saying it. Durocher. A working class hero, which we talk about, we love. That's something we love in Die Hard. The class economics are in this movie. In particular, the scene where Tom Cruise's character calls out the exploitative boss, you know, and claims to be like a US. Just such an amazing scene. But I do think in its own low-key way, this is such an amazing performance, because if you know Jamie Foxx from things like Any Given Sunday, this is a very alpha dude, right? He's very
got so much charisma.
Macho. He's so charismatic. He's so macho,
so
and he's so
funny.
He's so physical.
Yeah.
But in this movie, he's playing a guy that has never fired a gun and doesn't know how to fire a gun, and is not used to being in these situations. And it's such an amazing physical performance.
Is his character in Any Given Sunday named Willie Beeman? Yes. I can't believe I pulled that out. I love that. I mean, we've talked about
Steamin' Beeman, baby.
Can we just have 10 seconds on Any Given Sunday? Fucking incredible.
Should I get my Willie Beeman jersey out of the wardrobe behind me?
Man. Just Lawrence Taylor buzzsawing a truck in half in that movie is just a really special.
That's one of the greatest sports. We were having that conversation in the blue room with all the squad.
Yeah. I'm a member of Taylor Nation.
The best sports movies.
And by that, I mean, I'm a fan of Lawrence Taylor in Any Given Sunday.
It's amazing.
Yeah, no, Jamie Foxx is, he wins for Ray this year.
Okay.
Which is a big performance.
So he was nominated
twice in the same
in two different categories? Yeah. Wow.
And I think this is the more remembered movie.
Baller.
You know?
Yeah.
As good as he is in Ray. And I think it's... Look, I'm not here to unpack the Oscars, but I think performances. It's great that this was recognized, because it's a great downplay as opposed to a bigger performance, right? Like he's dressed shabbily. Yeah, he's wearing the hoodie.
He's not cool.
He's not cool.
The character's not very cool.
The glasses.
And Jamie Foxx exudes cool.
Yeah, he really does. Know? And it's like, again, man, seeing something in him. I mean, they make Miami Vice after this. He's so cool in Miami Vice, right? So it's like, but like he has a different thing going on. They've done Ali together. He's incredible in Ali. Like, yeah, it's just a really good performance. And like, he plays a loser.
Yeah.
And he does. Yeah. And it's also such a relatable loser, because like he's beating the shit out of himself when he doesn't get Jada's number.
Right.
And you're like, you fucking idiot, dude. Get that, get her number. But like, we've all been, I mean, I've certainly been there. I'm no stud when he just doesn't.
You're not Big John Stud from Harley Davidson. The Marvel Man.
I wish I were that guy. Such a loving giant. Yeah, he doesn't like. He's a kind of a dork, and he's really good in it.
Yeah, it's got to be quite. It's a really skillful performance for someone that is that has so much riz.
Yeah,
that is so sort of like physical. I mean, you look at him in Any Given Sunday, and he's such he
really looks
incredible.
Football.
Yeah, he can really do that shit.
It's crazy,
right? And so for him to play this kind of dweeby, indecisive, insular, nerdy, terrified person, it is a brilliant performance, and I'm glad that it was recognized. And the movie needs a strong counterbalance to what Cruise is doing, but it was the correct decision to sort of go the opposite way in terms of energy, and not try and like match what Cruise is doing with that type of energy, and do the opposite.
Yeah,
go internal, go quiet. So it was just a brilliant. Their chemistry is fantastic, and
it's one of the great like movie pairings.
Yeah, they're two amazing performances, needless to say. The action, let's talk about the action.
Well, actually, is this a good moment to talk about the cinematography?
Sure.
Is this the great man goes digital film? I know that we've had long, because, Public Enemies, the digital is there, I think, reinforcing an intellectual idea in the movie, right? We've talked about that before, how it's
on our Cows in the Field episode.
Right. It's flat.
If you're interested, we talked about Public Enemies.
People think it intentionally looks flat and digital, but there's a very distinct reason he's doing that in that film. It's sort of an incredible experiment. This movie looks fucking banger, dude. It looks so good. It is its own aesthetic.
So crisp.
And there's a moment when the camera's pointed back from the front seat at Cruz, and you can read all of the words on the glass divider. It's driver has less than $5 in cash or whatever it is. There's just the fact that it's digital and it's able to capture all of this in such low light, allows him to really film LA. They're not walking around with giant lights all over the set. It's in that way, it's not a clear opposite. It doesn't really make sense. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, shot on 35 millimeter, is celebrating the glory days and the moment when the city is at its pinnacle in terms of look and feel. And this is capturing an LA 40 years later. That's it. This is a great downtown LA movie. It captures downtown LA in a very specific way, and it rewards the action because it feels so frantic and frenetic.
There's a real clarity to it. It's a very clear-eyed, non-romantic look at LA in some respects, but inevitably it can't help but be somewhat romantic because of the way that Mann shoots it. It's a weird kind of paradox, right? It's just this is what LA really is, but through his eyes, he loves LA. It's so obvious, right? He relocated this movie, which would have made more sense to some extent, because of the cab culture, from New York to LA,
That's such an interesting thing, isn't it?
That says a lot.
LA,
right?
New York is teeming with people.
It would make the story makes more sense actually if it was in New York, right? Because that's why you would use a cabbie to get around the city quick. Versus if you came to LA, the actual logical thing to do if you were doing this mission is to rent a car, right? Steal a car. But renting it's easier because then you won't get picked up by the police, right? You could just park anonymously, be aware of where cameras are, park in shadows. It's more logical to not use a cab for a mission of this kind. It makes more sense if it's in New York.
You're right.
But you don't think about that because the movie's just so cool.
He's one of the great photographers of LA. Of course there are many,
but this is the action section. So staying on task here. I wanted to ask you if you have a favorite action sequence in the movie, and I can list them if you
list them just to keep our audience up to date, and not because I forget these things very quickly.
So there's the alley scene that we just talked about with the muggers, the nightclub scene. Whoa. The car crash, cat and mouse in the skyscraper with Jada, and the finale on the subway and train. Do you have a favorite? It's the club.
It's the nightclub.
Yeah,
nightclub's incredible.
It has to be.
Yeah.
I do want to, I rewatched that. I've been on an Oakenfold kick.
You rewatched that? Weird.
I was just, we talked on the Swordfish episode about how Oakenfold really was the sound of that's the turn of the century. And club scenes and, whatnot. There was a great one in, weirdly I've been obsessed with the Get Carter remake because it's a great scene.
You are really into that. That Get Carter
I love
remake.
Mickey Rourke. And Mickey Rourke has this great scene on the dance floor where him and Stallone kind of get into it. And it's playing this amazing Oakenfold track called Descent. So I've been on a big Oakenfold kick. But what I do find strange, this is an amazing sequence, but I am why doesn't Peter Lim, the witness, fucking leave? Why does he stay there forever when this whole thing is going down? I'm like, actual...
Can I? Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, actual security protocol, and I've been talked to a lot of Secret Service agents and studied that world, right? You're supposed no, they're not Secret Service agents. They're trained bodyguards / gangsters. But it's cover and evacuate. If you're in that situation, you don't just wait there for 5 minutes. Yeah. Wow, that's my one thing with that sequence. So far be it from me to criticize Michael Mann because I'm sure he has his reasons, but every time I watch it, I do sort of feel like, why don't they get him out of there? That would be the more obvious thing. Instead, he just seems to wait for an eternity for this thing to unfold while telling his goons to do this, that, and the other. I get, of course, that it's chaos. And there's a language barrier as well, which is why they don't understand that it's the FBI coming to save them. They think that that's an assassination.
That's a good point.
And there's also the cartel guys like in the background. So I get that maybe he feels like there's nowhere to go. Mann will unquestionably have his reasons. I mean, he has like Mick Gould and that's the Andy McNabb, the SAS guy, like orchestrating all this. There'll be reasons why it happens, but just for me, I'm always slightly confused.
It's a good point. It is a good point though, because like I hate nitpicking movies, but I actually have another nitpick about this movie, which is how does Vincent not see Jada Pinkett Smith going up the escalator at the beginning of the movie? They like pass so close next to each other.
I think in that my argument in the defense of that is that's Vincent scoping it out for later. So he's like reconnoitering that space because now there's too many people there, right? But if he studied her and there's been counter in surveillance, they would know. And she even says, "This is my ritual." So they would know that's what she does, and this is where she'll be, and I'll go there when it's empty.
That's fair.
That would be my argument for
and it's like he's not going to impulsively
I thought the same thing too this time. Why not just take her out there and then? But there's people there. It's better to go back.
You're right. That's
later.
Fair. But it does. When you watch the movie more than like once, it can kind of catch you up. You're like, huh?
Why do they? If Macaulay is so precise, why do they get Wayne Grow on the job? When they know he's a loose cannon. That's what I'd love to ask Michael Mann that and get that answer.
But again, this is one of those things that I think is so fascinating about these movies is, and like, this is what The Killer's about. Like, are these guys that good? Like, they're good, right? But it's like, there's a lot of inflated sense of self in a profession like this.
I suppose so, yeah.
You know,
like, no matter how precise or planned you are, the chaos of life. Again, that philosophy crashing against reality.
Also, Wayne Grow's like a lot of these guys are they're shitheads, right? Look at what they're doing.
Who referred Wayne Grow to that crew? Like, that's the real villain of that movie.
He didn't show his resume. You know, like, was he like, here's...
That recruitment consultant should be fired. Yeah. Let's talk about the humor then. A lot of dark humor that stems from Vincent's attitude, you know? The scenes with Max's mother and Max's boss, I think, are particularly
I like it when Vincent calls him Lady Macbeth.
Right.
Yeah, Lady Macbeth. It's very good. That's very.
What does he mean by that? In that
because
context?
He's like out damn spot. Like he's cleaning things up at that moment. I just find that so funny that he's like Lady Macbeth.
Well, we love a Shakespeare reference.
Well, it's also so like it's like weirdly sophisticated.
Right.
But like, I just love that moment. I think that's really, really fun. It's also fun when Tom Cruise is like smart. Not that he's not smart in movies, but like, especially lately, he just plays Ethan Hunt and it's like these big characters, you know, I like it when he does this. It's fun.
Yeah. It's great. So it's also it is a darkly funny film.
Totally.
It's constantly funny. And there's a weird humor to the situation. It never actually, even though it's such a dark movie, it never feels too oppressive.
Never.
It's always weird. It's always weirdly fun.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the screenplay a little bit too. Yeah. And like even the subway when he like, there's a point where he gets up that you're like, is this guy the Terminator? Like it does veer into like being really a big action film.
Similar to the sort of Michael Myers quality that, you know, it also exists at the end of Die Hard, but this unstoppable killing machine.
Yeah.
That he appears to be at the end once he climbs on the back of the train, yet it still feels somewhat, it's possible. He's not flying. He could actually do that.
But it's right on that line, right?
It's on the edge of, yeah. It's sort of nightmare land in that point.
Yeah, totally.
It's like the whole thing is like a nightmare, this movie. You know, let's take, I'm going to switch where we take the break because we have talked for a bit. This is the middle of this show, but why don't we take a quick break and then we'll come back with our two favorite sections of the show: improvise, adapt, I Ching, the Die Hard Oscars and the double. You can do it, Liam. You can do it. Self-actualize. We will take a break and then come back with the Die Hard Oscars and the Double Jeopardy trivia quiz. We will be right back. And we're back with the Die Hard Oscars. Do you think
Vincent should have an Instagram account where he gives people advice? You know, your joke about like self-actualize. Couldn't you see that guy now instead of being a contract killer?
Like I get these fucking ads for like some salesman that's like, is this how you cold call? I'm like, what? Why am I getting this?
Yeah.
I hate this shit. I hate this veneration of like the Jordan Belforts of the world that are like,
why Wolf of Wall Street's an amazing movie. Yeah.
Sell me this pen. These people are fucking crooks. Get them out of here. Why are we like venerating them?
Well, it's all about the grift now, Phil. I don't know.
It's all about brands. It's all about brands. Anyway, moving aside from the excessive capitalistic nightmare in which we currently live, let's talk about the Die Hard Oscars, aka the Action Movie Awards. We're starting with the John McClane Yippee Award for Best Line. Okay, the nominees are beautiful writing in this movie, some real pearls. You killed him. No, I shot him. The bullets in the fall killed him.
What a moment of self-deception. Wow. Incredible stuff. Incredible.
Brilliant. But also, again, that kind of like weird detached existentialism that this character casually, but even Mann talks about how it's like a intentionally superficial nihilism, that this character uses as a kind of defense mechanism. So, but that is immediately, that is so rich.
Yeah.
The level of thought that's gone into this character, the design of this character's psyche is amazing. The bit where Vincent goes, guy gets on the MTA here, dies. 6 hours he's riding the subway before anyone notices his corpse doing laps around LA, people getting on and off, sitting next to him. Nobody notices. I mean, I think when he said that, I was like, holy shit, this film isn't just like a really good thriller.
It's also how it ends.
We're going somewhere with this story.
Yeah.
Amazing. Javier Bardem's speech about Santa Claus and Black Peter that culminates with, now if I'm being Santa Claus and you are Pedro, how do you think jolly old Santa Claus would feel if one day Pedro came into his office and said, I lost the list? How fucking furious do you think he will get?
Javier Bardem.
Wow.
I mean, incredible stuff.
Talk about a guy like coming in and just killing it for one scene,
He's amazing.
Wow, that guy.
I know. What an actor.
What an actor. Yeah, absolutely. And then Don't Get Me Cornered, You Don't Have the Trunk Space. Another one of Vincent's just classic hard-boiled lines.
That's it.
Okay, you going with that one?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that one.
Right,
You Don't Have the Trunk Space is great.
It's kind of the movie in microcosm, actually.
Yeah.
Beautiful writing, beautiful.
Yeah, that's
film.
A really good line. Damn.
And this is this is a really tough category. The Hans Gruber Exceptional Thief Award for stealing the film.
Oh no, I have my pick. I think, to be honest with you,
and put Jason Statham in there as Airport Man, just for
I like to
shits
pretend
and gigs.
He's his character from Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and he's just elevated up. When Statham is allowed to just cockney it up, fuck man, like he's got like you're right, like he has one line, like I don't know,
I'm fine, mate. Yeah.
I love it when you do that. Oh man, I want Jason Statham to do more Guy Ritchie movies.
I would like him to be more. The comedy stuff like Spy. It's like, sure, whatever.
Well, that's Philly Special, though.
No, it's not.
No, the opposite of that is Philly Special, right? Like,
I see. Yeah, right, I don't like fun in movies. I like everyone to be, very serious.
Have you seen? Go ahead.
I wanted to see Statham be a bit more like be in a serious hardcore movie, but not be like scowling the entire time.
Have you seen Wrath of Man?
He's funny and charming,
Have you seen Wrath of Man?
No, but I hear it's amazing.
Dude, it's
actually,
amazing.
Yes, I have heard it's fantastic.
I was talking about this movie earlier this week. How, like, in some ways, I think it's Guy Ritchie's best movie.
Yeah,
it is.
I've heard it's awesome.
I watched it on a plane. I was like, oh, this will be fun. And like 2 hours later, I was like, it's one of the bleakest action films I've seen. And like, it's incredible. Yeah, you would.
Okay, cool.
Love it.
I've heard. I've people I respect have given that a lot of props.
I love that movie. I love it.
All right. Well, moving back on topic. He's nominated, but I don't think he's going to win.
No.
We've got Jada Pinkett Smith as Annie Farrell, Mark Ruffalo as Detective Ray Fanning, Barry Shabaka Henley as the jazz club owner Daniel Baker, and Javier Bardem as Felix Reyes Torrena. There are others we could have nominated, but we do have another category that we need to accommodate them for. So, do you have a pick?
It's Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Let's talk about him.
There's this great quote about Charlton Heston playing the player king in Hamlet.
In the Branagh Hamlet?
Yeah, Branagh Hamlet.
Yeah.
Where it's in a review by Roger Ebert. And he says, how many great performances did we lose to the Planet of the Apes watching Charlton Heston do this part? And I love Ruffalo so much. And I wish the last 12 years had been different, because I think he so magnificently excels as the hard-nosed detective. In this, in Zodiac.
Yeah.
In The Last
Zodiac.
Castle. Like, and I'm glad, he's doing this now on TV, this new show Task, and I'm really curious to watch it because, I mean, you can count on me. Mark Ruffalo might be
in the cut.
Oh my God.
He's also a cop in that.
He might be my favorite living actor. I mean, this guy is like the great, could star in a multitude, different plays. Like, he could play Golden Boy. He's like, he could be play a Patty Chayefsky movie. Like, there's a range to him, and and also he's great politics. Like, I love Mark Ruffalo so much.
I do too. Love him.
I think he's fucking amazing in this movie. Like, the scene when he goes to the morgue and he realizes whose body that is, I'm like, give me 20 movies. With Mark Ruffalo, he walks away with this movie as far as I'm concerned. And the first time I saw this movie, I remember being like, that guy's a fucking movie star. What an actor.
Yeah. He is magnetic. It's the Spader effect, I call it, where the guy you don't have to do much to be magnetic. It's just you have something. You can be quiet, you can be totally natural, you can be very minimal, and somehow you're absolutely riveting and
I mean, he's in
so likable.
Like 5 of my favorite movies of all time. Zodiac, Spotlight, which people like, there's a little bit of fun. Yeah, people go after that scene. They think it's not good. He's amazing in it.
There's nothing, I say that without a shred of irony. That's an amazing speech.
Yeah, that movie, that movie changed the trajectory. I love that movie. And you can count on me. He's amazing in Dark Water, which he's amazing. He's such a good actor.
The best.
I'm glad to see him come back to these more he has a working class energy too. I just love seeing him. He should fucking be the lead in a Michael Mann movie. Let's go.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Like another sort of Black Hat type. Yeah. Elevated.
He might have aged out of it is the problem.
He's so good in this. And also I read or heard from this character was based on a real guy that was like an LA undercover narc. That his appearance, why he has this, you wouldn't look at him and think that guy's a detective. I've seen, LAPD detectives in real life. One time there was, this is a crazy story, but the airport shooter at one point stayed in a building where I lived for a brief time. Remember that? Like a few years ago? Yeah. So there were LAPD detectives on the site kind of interviewing people and stuff. But what I was struck by was how well-dressed and professional they were. It's not like the movies where it's,
they're not James Woods in The Hard Way.
Characters. Yeah. So this, it's interesting. This was based on a real guy, but he was an undercover narcotics guy. So that's kind of why he was able to blend in.
Well, you walk into his story in media res, right? And it's like, this guy has been like when he's like, I've been on this guy for 4 months. Like, it's like a movie within a movie. And
he's in his own movie and he thinks he's the hero of it. And then again, reality comes crashing in and he's so unceremoniously killed. It's awful. You're just like, your heart sinks when that happens.
What a
the
fucking
first
actor,
time,
though.
right?
Good Lord.
It's the best. All right, let's move on. We love you, Mark Ruffalo. The Dick Thornburg Award for Dick of the Movie. I've got 3 nominees. Okay. Bruce McGill as FBI agent Frank Pedrosa.
Hey Bruce, it's Michael. Can you come just kick ass a second time?
Do you know who that was supposed to be? You know who's supposed to play that part? And it will completely click. Dennis Farina.
Oh my God. Yeah. But it's almost like, it's Farina. Like, you kind of, and I love Farina, don't get me wrong, but you're like, the fact that it's Bruce McGill is like so specific and so special. Fucking
it's
McGill,
great.
Man. What an actor.
He's so great. Peter Berg as LAPD detective Richard Widener. Low key dick. Like, he's just kind of like, I'll do my job, but I'm not that fussed about it. Not like Ruffalo, who's like prowling the streets 24/7.
He's like asleep in bed. It's 10:45.
Yeah, he's like, I want to go home. Let the FBI handle it. He's just kind of not fully committed. Great. Pete Berg, great actor. I mean, you almost forget.
Can we have a quick
become such a huge director
moment?
How great an actor he is.
So Michael Mann produces 2 of his movies.
Yes.
One of which I haven't seen. I haven't seen The Kingdom.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, Kingdom has big Philly vibes. But
there's a fucking gunship going over a convoy in that movie at one point.
I love Hancock. I don't care what people say.
Yeah.
I think that movie is like fascinating and weird and like it's like before the superhero movies got a little more like franchised.
Yeah.
And it's just like such a
great concept.
Movie. And it's shot like a Michael Mann movie.
Yeah. I really love him as an actor. I came to him as an actor. I think probably Last Seduction was one of the first movies. I sort of, before he started to direct, and then I love Very Bad Things, and I've loved so many of the movies he's made.
He's a really interesting guy.
Yeah. He's a very interesting personality, and when he does his interviews,
he's really good.
He needs to live with Mark Maron, right?
Yeah, Well, they lived together and did not like each other.
Yeah.
He also
did an interview about it.
He's really good at playing the like dumb jock, but he's not a dumb jock, right?
No,
like
not at
he's
all.
a little bit of shades of Affleck or even an Edward Burns, where these guys like have this quality of like they're dumber. Yeah. They're not dumb, but they're really good at
kind of
being
seem like the school bully a little bit.
Yeah.
Like his character in Copland, which is so great.
Yeah,
in a
about
stacked
Copland.
Ensemble. Anyway, he's great. And then Michael Waxman as Lenny the Dispatcher, Max's boss, who I think was probably
Michael Waxman's very good. That's a good pick. I love the opening of this movie when the cabs are getting cleaned up.
It's great, isn't it?
It's so LA. It feels so LA to me, even though it's New York. I think it was also smart because another taxi cab movie set in New York, like you can't help but think about Taxi Driver. It's just,
and they thought about De Niro for this part at one point. It was mooted, but
too old. As great as much as I love Bob, it's like
I think that would be too meta.
Yeah, it really would be
too weird. It would take you out of it. I'm sure De Niro, of course, would find a way to make it amazing. I'm sure, but
he'd be better as Vincent.
It would still, but But again,
you
can see him in heat mode. But anyway, best death: the guy who falls off the roof of the cab, the opportunistic muggers whom Vincent kills in the alley, the assassination of Peter Lim in the nightclub Fever, and Vincent's death on the subway. By the way, I really want to go to Fever.
Should we go? Let's go. I'll get on a plane. Let me see what time there's a flight leaving.
Let's go. I think it is based on a real club
because
in
here's
Koreatown.
the thing. We don't have to go till 2 a.m., so I have plenty of time to get there.
Get some Oakenfold.
Smash cut. We're in the club at 3 a.m., like still recording. I'm going to go with the execution of the two thugs in the alleyway.
Me too. It's amazing.
It's also when the movie announces what it is.
Exactly, yeah. There's a number of different gear changes in the movie. That's one of them, where you're like, holy shit, we're leveling up.
Well, and also the gunshots. Wow. Those just like...
And then he doesn't even look back at him as he like shoots him the second time. Yeah. Just like, right, that's done. So it's like he's just washed his hands.
Yeah.
It's played with such kind of
he's
that was so easy.
Killer.
It was so easy for me to do that. Right, that's out the way. I just squashed a bug. Right, what are we doing next? You know, it's like amazing.
We live in this house here, right? And we moved in recently, and like in our old place in LA, I would wear this headset when I watch movies.
Right.
And now I'm on the bottom floor, and everyone's asleep 2 floors up because it's a 3-story house. And so I can put it as loud as I fucking want.
Yeah.
And so those shots like made me jump.
Yeah.
Because they also just announced that this is a loud fucking movie.
Whoa.
Yeah.
All right. So those are our Oscars. I hope everybody is happy with those awards.
How many awards did we give Finding Neverland?
Right, the Double Jeopardy trivia quiz. Well, the scores can really change. I've got 3 questions, and luckily I don't think any of them have come up, so I didn't have to use one of my crappy backups here. Okay, question number 1. In terms of traditional filmic language and grammar, what is particularly unusual about the opening of Collateral?
Jeez.
It's a thinker, this.
Does it have something to do with the close-ups?
No. Do you want a clue?
Yeah, give me a clue.
Phone call Al?
Yeah.
Or radio Al Powell for help.
Al,
the clue is
filmic genius.
The clue is it's about the absence rather than the presence of something.
Oh, shit. I've read about this before. Tell me.
There are no opening credits, not even the title of the movie. Just begins.
Wow.
You don't even notice. because you're instantly immersed in this amazing.
Well, in the way the first shot
is
just
unfolding.
Yeah,
I think it's just him at the
sunglasses
airport,
inside.
Yeah. Well, he can pull it off. not everyone can.
Well, and I always wonder, does he do it so people don't see his face? Or does he have like a weird eye issue?
Yeah, I suppose it just helps be harder to identify him.
Yeah, that's what I think it is.
Makes sense. All right. Question number 2. Bruce McGill appears in Collateral as the decidedly arrogant FBI agent Frank Pedroza. In which film did Bruce McGill play Bruce Willis's duplicitous best friend?
Oh, I need the clue.
We've covered this classic LA noir in the early days of this podcast.
The Last Boy Scout.
Yes. In which Bruce McGill plays Mike, Joe Hallenbach's supposed best friend who sleeps with his wife and sets him up to be killed.
You know Shane Black has a new movie coming now.
What?
Play Dirty. In like the next few weeks with Mark Wahlberg as Parker from the from the Robert B. Parker books.
Wow, because that's so interesting, because when we talked about how Play Dirty was the original title of Lethal Weapon 2.
That's right.
So I wonder if there's some
interesting
Lethal Weapon 2 DNA.
Oh, God, I hope so. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
All right. All right, final question in Convoluted Corner.
Just checking to make sure I wasn't standing on plastic.
Now,
sorry, I'm still in the Lethal Weapon 2 mode.
All right. Question number 3. Now, this is convoluted.
Corner.
We've talked about how the Die Hard series and many of its replicators are about a man in a box. And in fact, the song used in the theatrical trailer for Collateral is titled Man in the Box. But which iconic 90s grunge band performs this song? Are you a grunge guy?
I am. Is it Alice in Chains?
Yes!
Okay.
Wow!
Yeah.
Swish at the buzzer.
Bing!
Nailed it. That was really impressive, Liam.
Thank you. Yeah,
well done.
I moved to Seattle. I guess I'm 40 years too late, though. That's the problem. Can I? No joke.
By the way, the Get Carter remake set in Seattle.
I got to watch it. There are 3 people have said, you got to go to West Seattle. Eddie Vedder lives there. I'm like, what am I going to do with that information? Like, Eddie, I'm here. Yeah.
Hold up a boombox,
exactly.
Say Anything, play one of his songs. That's it for today. We hope
that was a good one.
We've done Collateral justice. It's a great movie.
It is a really good movie. It's almost always available on like various streaming sites. It's not hard to track down.
Yeah,
you've probably if you got this far and you haven't seen it,
probably on Paramount Plus. You know, it's a Paramount movie. I'm sure if it's not, it's on something else. It's all these things.
It also plays in the theater
moving.
like with a high degree, especially in LA.
I'll put it in the notes anyway with wherever it is currently streaming or available at the time of the release of this episode. So I'll get back to you on that. By the way,
since we're in different cities now, we should talk about, you know, I know this is a side tangent, but there's an LA noir series going on in Seattle right now. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so I'm going to see Cutter's Way.
Oh, I just watched that. 35. It's awesome. Have you seen it?
Never seen it, but Yvonne Passer is one of my favorite Czech filmmakers, so I'm very excited. Good. And they're showing Heat. And they're showing Inherent Vice, LA Confidential on 35.
Wow.
There's a lot of good stuff going on.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. You liking it up there?
I like it. I miss LA. This movie made me miss LA, even though like I'm not a downtown LA guy. But there's something to it. The you know, LA baby.
We'll have to talk about it off mic. Let's let the good people get on with their lives. Thank you so much for joining us. Please rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend, find us on social media. We are now on YouTube, right?
You hopefully already know that because you're watching it. But hey, watch us on YouTube or just listen to us. Put it on your second screen.
How would people find the YouTube?
You just Die Hard on a Blank on YouTube. Just search Die Hard on a Blank, and the link will be in the. We can put the link in the show notes.
Okay.
As well.
Thanks to Tyson for doing our artwork as always. And then let's talk about 48 Hours of Body movies, because the next movie that's coming in, and we did a little Easter egg teaser for you there, but the next movie coming on 48 Hours of Body movies is Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. At long last,
we've been recording for 6 months.
Weird, beautiful, eccentric,
low-key,
homoerotic neo-western sci-fi.
I really enjoyed it. I had a good time watching it. It's Yeah, it's not the film I thought it was going to be because I hadn't seen it in a really, I realized midway through, I was like, I haven't seen all of this, or at least I haven't seen it in one sitting. It's a very different movie than I thought it was going to be. It's real fun, though. It's like
fun.
A real forgotten movie, I feel like.
Yeah, kind of a delightful cult curio. Mickey Rourke and Don Johnson as
you got to program
modern
that
day
somewhere.
Butch and Sundance in the Southwest.
Got to get you on the 4K.
What's not to love?
Justin the Liberty.
Please, somebody put me on if you release a good, version of that, please put me on the commentary.
Put
I
Phil
love
on
that
the
movie.
commentary. Come on, do it.
Next time on this show, however, a movie that I just rewatched and really loved, The Assault on Precinct 13 remake.
I've seen
starring
that.
Ethan Hawke and Lawrence Fishburne, that I think is great.
Who directed that?
I can't think of
It's a
his
French
name because he hasn't
filmmaker?
done. Yes, I can't. Off the top of my
I'll
head,
get it.
because
Is
I haven't
it
got the
Jean-Jacques
research in front of me. But I believe he just did Plane, I want to say.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so that's also a really interesting movie.
Jean-Francois Richet.
Thank you.
Yes.
We'll be talking about that, and we'll, of course, be talking about the original John Carpenter remake, Sons of Carpenter Rise Up. And Carpenter Cowboys. I don't know. I need something.
Carpenters Rise Up!
Right.
So
please join us. Please join us for that. Thank you. So it's great to be. Got to say, it's great to be back. We did have a bit of a hiatus while we sorted out our respective lives and work.
I moved to the rainy
over the
city,
summer.
and Phil visited the fam.
Mm-hmm. And now we're back on track with a great selection of movies on both shows. So don't forget to sign up at www.patreon.com/48 hours of body movies. That's 48 hours of body movies. If you want our Patreon show, we're now, I think, Harley Davidson, the Modern Man, I think, is 24, which means the 24th movie, which means we're exactly halfway through.
Like 48 hours of content too.
So
because every episode is like 2 hours long.
Exactly. Yeah. So you already have 24 episodes already there waiting for you if you're late to the party, and another 24 to come.
What a bargain.
Absolutely. For just $5 a month, which is less than a cup of coffee nowadays at your favorite drive-through corporate American nightmare. All right, I'm gonna get out of here.
There.
This guy goes to the drive-through, dies. No one notices. Well, people would actually. If I delayed for 10 seconds, I was getting honked. So
We'll be back next time with a movie starring Ja Rule.
And what's not to love about that?
Die Hard on a Blank is a podcast from Philip Gothorn and Liam Billingham. Tyson Hubley makes our art. You can hear exclusive episodes of our Patreon show at patreon.com/48 hours of buddy movies. Rate, review, subscribe, and tell your action movie loving friends about the show. See you next time on Die Hard on a Blank.